Hello and welcome to One Tech World. In my lounge today is the amazing James Lambert, who is founder of Engage to Succeed. Welcome, James. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about you, and I'll give you 60 seconds to do it.
Okay, no problem. So James Lambert, as you've said, founder and creator of Engage to Succeed. I live in West Sussex and have been living by the sea now for just over a year, which is amazing. I've got two kids of my own and a stepdaughter, married to my wonderful wife, Nikki. We have a crazy Cocker Spaniel called Luna the dog, who keeps me fit and healthy. She just runs and runs for miles. So it's always good to get me out. From a personal perspective, Vanessa, I suppose the key things that are important to me, and I often talk about my values and motivators. My values, I've just talked about, my family and my friends are really important. The other thing for me that's really important is health and well-being. I love endurance sports. I love challenging my body to take it to the extreme almost. But at the same time, I also like kind of taking some quiet time back, journaling and meditation. The other things that really drive me are challenge and adventure. So I love thinking about new approaches. I love thinking creativity. And of course, with the adventure side of things, I love exploring new places, new cultures, new countries. And I live by the motto of this: if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got.
I love it. Tell me about the corporate career, and then we'll move into kind of, what you're doing now and how people can be happy at work. So
yeah, sure. So look, I've spent 20 years plus, probably. It's quite a scary thought when you think about it in numbers, but 20 years plus in the corporate world, mainly working within the HR and the people function. I suppose more latterly, I've been in large blue chip organizations, managing big talent acquisition functions, looking at not only bringing people in, but also internal mobility, the importance of internal mobility and the importance of giving people more opportunity in careers. Last role was with Capita, and I was the global director of talent acquisition for them, hiring some amazing numbers of people. Probably can't share on here, but back in 2022, it's the biggest job I've ever done, and the number of people we hired in 1 year was well over 5 figures. So it was a significant sized job. Prior to that, I've worked in other organizations through outsourcing, so with some really great clients, likes of Sky, likes of Vodafone. I've worked with IBM, Cognizant, Thomson Reuters. So some really great names out there, focusing very much on their talent strategies. But alongside that, I've also worked within kind of 2 other areas: leadership development and training, which has been a huge priority for me. Clearly managing teams of 200 plus. The importance of leadership and how you lead and how you support your leaders to lead is really important. But then also the other thing that's really kind of a passion of mine, if you like, is employee engagement. And I classify myself as being a bit of an employee engagement nerd over the last 12 years, which has led me to where I am today. And that was the transition out of the corporate world.
I was going to say that to you. So obviously you've left the corporate world, all those big stressful jobs, to start a company that helps people to be happy at work.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, because obviously you've got this golden bullet, right, that is just going to make us all like whoop-de-doo every time we go to work, which we are if we're passionate about things, but it can't happen every day. Surely, tell me.
Well, it's an interesting one. Can it happen every day? It can happen every day, but possibly not for the whole day. And I can talk about that in a little bit more detail. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I guess over the years of working in corporates and leading and managing big teams of people, some of the stuff that I've often seen is people that show up to work, and they show up to work, and you sit there and you ask yourself, are they really happy in what they're doing? Are they really enjoying what they're doing? And And often the answer to that question is no. And then when you start delving into it, and this is why I set up Engage to Succeed, because I want to help people to love their job more every day. And actually it's more than just their job, Vanessa. It's actually to help people love their life more every day. Because we often forget about that things that go on outside of work affect what go on inside of work, and what goes on inside of work affects what goes on outside of work. So this is why I kind of set up the business and have created the model that I've created to help people to really understand what is it that they enjoy in life outside and inside of work, and then how can you then use the model to get the most out of what you do. And it's a much needed thing, and this may be a bit of a controversial statement, but in all of my years of working in some major corporates, what I've seen is that corporates do quite a lot of what I call tick box exercises.
Yeah.
We're going to do an engagement survey. We're going to do the survey, box ticked. We're going to set something up to help people from a well-being perspective, box ticked. We're going to set up some training initiatives, box ticked. Do they really help people to truly understand themselves, to identify what are the things that are going to push that person's buttons to get the most out of them? Or are they just doing these, setting up stuff and ticking the boxes to say we've done it? And that's the thing for me. What I'm doing and what Engage to Succeed is all about is to help people to unlock that.
Yeah.
Unlock that potential, really.
So tell me about that model. How do you identify what makes you happy? Because I know the things that make me happy, and they generally don't, sometimes they don't necessarily overlap with my dog. Like, I love to garden, I love my dogs, I love boxing. I don't generally bring that into my day job, where it's it's hugely frustrating sometimes, the lack of gender equity and stuff like that. So what's that model look like? How do you work that out?
So it works on it's a really simple model. It works on two principles. It talks about life passions, and it talks about life performance. And as I said earlier on, you've got to get that balance right, because sometimes what you bring into work, or what you do in your personal life, sometimes if things aren't working, that affects your work. And if what you do at work isn't working, that affects your personal life. So you've talked about your dog, you've talked about gardening. If you don't find the time to do that, you're not addressing your life passions.
Yeah. And you get resentful, right?
You get resentful, and then your levels of passions drop. And when your levels of passions drop, that has an impact on your overall level of engagement. And it's really that simple, that says you've got to identify, from a life passions perspective, you have to identify what are the things that really you're passionate about outside of work, but also what are you passionate about inside of work. Then you have to sit there and say, actually, and this is the bit there's no science with this, Vanessa. Then it says, what is your split between personal and work? Some people love to work, and so their split is 80% work and 20% personal. Other people want more personal, so there could be 60% personal, 40% work. And it's about identifying and sitting down and realizing what level that split is. And then the same goes for performance along the bottom of the model, that says, what is your performance? And again, this can be a little bit subjective. Certainly in the workplace, how do you define your performance at work, but also how do you define your performance outside of work? I talk about endurance events. If I'm not out training and keeping my health and my fitness up, and my performance doesn't continue to improve leading up to an event, that has an impact on my performance, and therefore it drops my levels of engagement. So it works on those two principles, but it has to be both, because one does drive the other. And as you said, you can start feeling disheartened, or you can start feeling overwhelmed if you're just everything is work and nothing is personal. So you've got to have a balance.
But surely this all boils down to time, right? So, for example, if I had twice the amount of time that I have, I could enjoy my garden, enjoy my dogs, enjoy my boxing, and be super duper at my job, So where do we find the time, and how do you work out what those kind of, I suppose what your percentages are? There's obviously got to be quite a lot of self-awareness in that exercise, right?
Absolutely. And this is where Engage to Succeed help people, right?
Yeah.
Because you a lot of it is about self-awareness. And there's lots of chat at the moment around hybrid working from home.
Yeah.
If we think back, and I'm going to go way back, if you think back way back to the old, I say old days.
Olden days.
Can I say that? Don't know.
We were still around then.
You used to get into your car or on your bike, or you used to walk or get the bus to work. You used to go to work and you used to come home from work. And those working hours used to be 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Now, in today's society, people say, well, that's not right. We shouldn't be working to that. And I agree with that. We shouldn't be working to that. But there's a very definitive cutoff at start and end of day. In a world that we work today, we don't necessarily have that cutoff.
Agree with
because,
that.
I mean, you're probably working from home today, the same as I'm working from home today. And when you're working from home, you're depending on your situation, but everything is, you're in one place. So it's very difficult to cut off and say at 5 o'clock, you don't look around and the office is all clearing at 5 o'clock. So you think, oh, actually everyone's going, so I'm going.
Yeah.
You have to be very disciplined in your own structure and your own awareness to be able to say, actually, do you know what? The sun's shining. It's a great day to go and do some gardening. That's really going to drive me. And actually, if you did that, you may well find that you are more productive the following day because you've had some time to do something yourself. And they do say that, loads of surveys out there will say an engaged employee is 21% more productive than a disengaged employee.
Yeah.
Now, if you work that out in days, that's an extra day a week of work you're getting out of an engaged employee.
Yeah. I think also it's quite difficult. I totally get what, the end of day versus us, this permanently accessible and always online kind of, mindset that we're in. But I do think there's also that scary part that if you're not on that bus with everyone where, you don't set those boundaries. And it's funny, we've got a session on boundaries on One Tech World, but where you don't set those boundaries that says, actually, after 5:30, I'm with my kids or I'm doing my sport or whatever my passion is. I'm not, there's always this overhang that, if I'm not accessible all the time, then, that might be detrimental to my career. Or, if I put these boundaries in and I'm like that. On the flip side, if you're always accessible, you're never going to find the time to have those passions and be more productive. So for those of you watching, you need to decide which side we're going to be on. So tell me, James, I mean, obviously you've talked about productivity and how companies should take time out to, find out what's really making their employees tick and not just rely on that State of the Nation employee engagement survey, which I've long been a hater of it anyway, because they give you a point in time and it depends if someone's got the ump as to what you're going to get or someone's in a happy mood. But how do companies, where do they start with this? I suppose that's my question, because you can't just go out to 60,000 employees and go, what makes you happy? Where do you start at the top?
So it's an interesting conversation that I have all the time. Do you start at the top or do you start at the bottom? And I guess I've got the response to that is as follows. You have to have buy-in from the top. That's the first statement. Yeah. You've got to get a senior leadership team or a board or whatever the size of the company. You've got to get that buy-in from the top that says, this is what engagement means to us. And I think the biggest issue with senior buy-in is that most organizations think of employee engagement as a survey. And there's always that so what question. So we're going to do a survey. So what? What does that actually mean? We're going to get a baseline of data. We're going to get a touch point. Great. But imagine this, right? If you went to a senior executive, and this is the buy-in piece, and said, what does employee engagement mean to you? And they said this: employee engagement to this organization is to help our individuals to love their job more every day. Yeah. And the way we do that is by helping our managers to understand the drivers and motivators of their team more effectively.
Yeah.
A recent
Sounds
survey.
so simple when you put it like that.
Yeah, right. A recent survey that Gallup did. Gallup, the biggest provider and probably the one that I recognise the most.
Yeah.
They did a survey, and how stark is this? Only 16% of the employees that they surveyed said they had an effective conversation with their manager the previous week.
Yeah, that is a stark stat.
So what's happening, and again, there's loads of chat and there's loads of press around this. What's happening is managers aren't equipped to have effective conversations with their people. So the way in which Engage to Succeed help businesses is this, right? We get the senior executives bought into the meaning of engagement. We then work with managers to help the managers have an effective conversation with their people. That in turn builds that lovely term of psychological safety and trust.
Yeah.
That says actually we use the model and the 4 levels of engagement that we classify in the model, where we help the leaders and the managers of the organization understand where their people are. And then once they know where they are, they ask the question, why are they there? And what support they can give to help them drive engagement. And this is where it becomes difficult, right? It is difficult in a 60,000 people organization. It takes a long time to bed it in. But once you understand your people better, you as a manager, and the organization provides the autonomy for the managers to do this, you as a manager can then help your people to love their job more every day or love their life more every day. So if it's a sunny day and you work for me, Vanessa, and I know you like gardening, and you're looking a little bit, did we use the word battle worn, but you're looking a little bit down or a little bit frustrated, I turn around to you and say, hey, when was the last time you did some gardening? And you go, well, I haven't had a chance to because I've been working. Right, knock off at 4 o'clock and go and spend a couple of hours in the garden, decompress, relax, and come back the next day. Bang, what's the cost of that to an organisation?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I want to come work for you, James. Can I knock off at 4, go do my garden? And do you know something? It is those little things I know from running my own team. It's the little shows of empathy. It's the little things that you can do to make someone's day. Don't rush back from the school play. Don't fret to get back for 10:30 or whatever. You get back when you get back. I know you're going to catch up at some point anyway. No one's there to do your work. I think there's so much that needs to be done at that middle layer of management, but we diversify off from there. So just to conclude, for everyone who's watching this, can you give them any tips? And you've given some previously, about kind of working out where your scales are in terms of, your balance stuff. But any tips that will make them feel happier at work?
Yeah. So look, the biggest tip I can give anybody, there are, I talk about 4 levels of engagement. I'll tell you what they are. On the up, stuck in a rut, roller coaster ride, and flying high. Flying high is where we want most people to be. How do you spend more time flying high? Because there are going to be tasks in your day that take you to a roller coaster ride. There will be tasks in your day that might take you to a stuck in a rut. But how do you overcome that? And this is the simple answer to that. Think about it as I know it sounds a little bit corny, but I love it. Think about it as a sandwich, right? If you know you're going to do something in the day that isn't going to excite you and isn't going to make you really passionate about it, one thing for me is admin. I hate doing admin. Admin is the ham in the sandwich, right?
Yeah.
Top and tail that task with something that you love. So do something first thing in the morning. Do something that you're really passionate about. You're really excited about. That could be doing a video, writing a blog, whatever it is you enjoy. Do that first. Then do the bit that isn't so exciting, and then make sure you finish your day doing something that you love again. So then when you finish your day doing something you love, you close your laptop down, and then you go to your family, you go out, you see your friends, and you're in a great mood. Rather than leaving your admin to the end of the day and going, I've got admin to do, and then you go downstairs and you talk to your partner, and you're sort of sitting there going, oh, I'm really annoyed because I had to finish the day with admin. So my biggest advice to anyone, if they're struggling, is to start the day and finish the day on doing the things that you love at work, because it will give you so much more motivation throughout the day and into the evening when you're going off to do your stuff that you really enjoy outside of work.
What a fantastic tip. I'm going to try that one myself. So James, obviously such an interesting topic. Where can people find out more about you? Point us to some websites. Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, look, the easiest way to connect in the world that we work in today is obviously LinkedIn. So connecting with me via LinkedIn, that's an easy way. Alternatively, I've got a very easy email address, which is engagetosucceed@outlook.com. If you want to find out more, ping me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, mention One Tech World or whatever, and happy to pick up a conversation with anyone directly if they want to learn more.
Brilliant. So that's for individuals, and obviously any companies that are watching this, that are looking at that employee engagement survey and going, is it really telling us what we need to know? James, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us our time. And thanks for you guys for watching. This has been Vanessa and James at One Tech World.
Thank you very much.